Helldivers 2 came out of nowhere. One day I woke up, I was scrolling through my feed, and suddenly everyone was screaming for democracy and dropping orbital strikes on bugs that were the size of a skyscraper. It was beautiful chaos, and I can't help but think, how did this happen? In a landscape where every single new release just feels like a second job with login bonuses, daily challenges, currencies, crafting trees, checklists upon checklists, Helldivers 2 felt refreshingly stupid. And I mean that in the best way possible. You don't need to know the lore or to grind out for 1,000 hours to get the best stuff. You just drop in, shoot a couple things, and not try and nuke your friends. And yet somehow this simple, chaotic shooter did what so many polished billion-dollar projects couldn't. It actually made people care. Let's get this out of the way. I love Helldivers 2, and it's because it's one of these games that doesn't actually ask that much of you. No base to build, no resource management, no dialogue trees, just pure, dumb, well-tuned action. It's almost relaxing, in a way. If relaxing means getting your body slammed by an alien, meanwhile your friend is dropping an orbital laser on your head, there's just something therapeutic about that. I have had so many great moments playing games with friends. My favourite one is kind of like burned into my brain. We got to the end of the mission, we were being chased down by a swarm of bugs, and I managed to get to the evacuation site first, and I turned round to see my squad trailing behind, screaming through chat, and just as they were about to make it, I looked at the giant bug chasing them and thought, you know what, I could so make this way more cinematic. I decided to throw every single airstrike I had, explosions everywhere, there was dust, fire, screaming, they all died, and I laughed so hard that I almost dropped out of my chair. It was chaos. Pure, beautiful, democracy-fueled chaos. And what makes Helldivers 2 so special is that it knows exactly what it wants to be. It doesn't pretend to be anything else. It simply wants you to have fun, and in today's gaming landscape, that's rarer than you'd think. Now, to be honest, before Helldivers 2 came along, I was getting kind of burnt out with games. Every single thing I played just wanted something from me. My time, my patience, my soul. I'd load into something new, and I'd be immediately hit up with premium currencies and battle passes and seasonal events. It felt like I was just clocking into work, not sitting down to unwind. And then Helldivers 2 came along, reminding us sometimes you simply need a gun, a mission, and a vague promise that you won't accidentally blow up your entire team. The beauty of it lies in its simplicity. Because genuinely, it's a chaotic, hilarious, team-based shooter that rewards cooperation, and it really does punish carelessness in the funniest ways imaginable. You really do need to work as a team in Helldivers. You cannot lone wolf Helldivers 2. The game doesn't just encourage teamwork, it demands it for success. And it's not like a forced thing where, you'll get an XP bonus for reviving X amount of teammates. It's in a, if you wander off, you're gonna die. Simple as that kind of way. And it really does remind me of Left 4 Dead, but like dialed up to 11. You've got to communicate. Who's calling in the airstrike? Who's sending in the resupply? No, it's my turn to do the button combination, and so on and so forth. Because one misstep, one misplaced grenade, and suddenly your entire squad is on fire, getting blown up, and you're getting chewed out by bugs as well. And that's what makes it so satisfying. When you actually pull off a mission, when everyone stays coordinated, executes their stratagems perfectly, and extracts under fire, it feels incredible, because you feel like an actual team. And at one point or another, someone is going to press the wrong button and call down the airstrike on themselves or the entire team, and you just can't script that kind of stuff. You can't. But when it does happen, you kind of feel like an agent of chaos. And this does get me thinking, like, what made Helldivers 2 such an overnight success? Well, it's because it hit a gap that no one was really filling at that point in time. At the time of Helldivers 2's release, no major studio was making a cooperative shooter that felt this tight, this funny, and this replayable. I mean, don't get me wrong, you had serious tactical games, you had massive open world loot shooters, you had competitive shooters, you had extraction shooters, but nothing just said, hey, here's a gun, here's a planet, go have fun. And it's that simplicity, combined with the personality of a tongue-in-cheek propaganda movie, mixed in with the voice lines of constant satire, and you create yourself a perfect storm. And the fact is, Arrowhead Studios didn't need a massive marketing budget. The community just did it for them. And it's very rare that word of mouth gets around about a game, and for Helldivers 2, it really did hit the nail on the head. Every clip, every meme, every trailer, every For Democracy built up this mythos for the game. And this is one thing that a lot of AAA studios try and do nowadays, but the game's success wasn't forced, and a lot of AAA studios and developers in general try and force this sense of genuine hype for the game. But for Helldivers 2, it was organic, which is something that you rarely see anymore. It genuinely became the most social game of the year. Not because it had social systems, but because it made you laugh with your friends. It was genuinely one of the best games of 2024. It put you in these crazy scenarios against all odds. It was a game that I think a lot of people needed at the time. And of course, with great success comes, well, some server issues. For a while, no one could even log in. The devs were overwhelmed. Millions of people were piling in. Servers were just crushing under the weight of the amount of people that wanted to play. And you can't say that for a lot of games, and people were patient. They weren't even outraged. There was just a piling amount of memes and community posts, and because it is so clear that people wanted this game to succeed. For the experience and the amount of content that you get in Helldivers 2, I'm really surprised it wasn't released at full price. Which is something that I think a lot of people do really appreciate. Because with a lot of games nowadays costing £60, £70, gaming is quickly becoming one of the most expensive habits you can have. But even with the game being a paid experience, there is still monetization, which is totally fine. It's about £7.99 each, but honestly, I think it's fair. The base game already gives you tons of weapons, armor, and customization, and the paid stuff just adds flavor. It's not exploitative, you're not missing out on anything, you're not becoming a powerhouse just because you have the newest war bond. If anything, it's just additive. Arrowhead Studios aren't just a company who made a great game, they're not just some faceless mega corporation, they're a relatively small studio who just wanted to make a good game, and that sincerity really shows. And the way that I see it, it's kind of like a rebellious act that Helldivers 2 was such a major success. It's a reminder that you don't need billions of dollars or cinematic storytelling to make something that people love, you just need a clear vision and the guts to follow it. Now granted, Helldivers 2 was a sequel to a different game, that being Helldivers, and that came out in 2015 as a top-down shooter, which is very different to what we see in Helldivers 2. And so in the sequel, they wanted to expand the idea into something bolder, more immersive, and genuinely social. And it was that reinvention with this sequel that didn't just improve the game, but it refined the whole concept. And to put it simply, they put it in a whole new perspective, literally and figuratively. And so I've been pondering this idea for a while. What really pushed Helldivers 2 over the edge? And ultimately, it lands on the community of the game. Players have turned this game into a living, breathing campaign. Because under every single comment section, no matter what kind of video it is, you will see someone say, "For democracy." And this is the thing, everyone's in on the joke, well, most people are in on the joke. And it's at that point where it doesn't just become about the game anymore. It's a shared story, a cultural moment where everyone is playing along, shouting slogans, and celebrating every single small victory as if they were in war. It's a cultural thing where people are just playing along and just shouting slogans like "For democracy." And it's so beautiful because you can't force that to happen. You genuinely can't. It has to happen naturally. And very few games actually have that staying power and that power outside of the gaming space. But Helldivers 2, it did it right. And after hundreds of missions, countless near-death extractions, and far too many accidental team kills, I've come to realise that Helldivers 2 didn't just succeed because it was fun. It succeeded because it reminded people what fun actually is. Because let's face it, games have got too big, too complex, too serious, but this one, it's just chaos, teamwork, and laughter. It's not trying to be anything that it's not. It's not trying to make a statement, it's just wanting you to have a good time. And that's exactly what we needed. And the real reason why Helldivers 2 was such a success was because it was for the people. I never thought I'd say that. It was a game that was priced at a lower price point than most games out there. It embraced teamwork, chaos, humour, and everything else under the sun in a time when most games forgot what that even felt like. To be honest, it kind of reminded me why I fell in love with gaming in the first place. The laughter, the unpredictability, the shared moments that you can't recreate anywhere else. And you know, sometimes you don't need an open world or a big cinematic story or deep customization trees. Sometimes you just need a few friends, a few bugs to kill, and a few badly timed airstrikes. But at the end of the day, that's democracy, baby, and Helldivers 2 has it.